If you guys know me and my taste in cars, you're probably aware that the mid-size passenger car segment, which of course includes wagons, is my favorite segment of the market. Because I personally think that the world is too SUV obsessed and mid-size cars have a certain class to them. And these are also the reasons why I own a car from this segment. So isipin nyo na lang how excited I was for me to review the best-selling of them all. And that's of course the Toyota Camry. Oh, and while this car's been facelifted for this year, there's another important change to this iconic vehicle. And that's the fact that it's now a hybrid electric vehicle for the first time here in the Philippines. It's therefore appropriate to start this review with how the way this thing drives. Powering the new Toyota Camry is the latest Toyota hybrid system, with the brand's latest 2.5-liter dynamic force direct injected gasoline engine. Mated to an electric motor, the hybrid system has a combined output of 211 horsepower and 221 Nm of torque. This then drives the front wheels via an ECVT.
You'd actually be surprised, no? As I've mentioned in my previous review, this is the sportiest and most dynamic Camry ever, itong generation na to, no? Toyota's being hard at work in making their cars exciting. Sabi nga ni Akio Toyoda, na kanilang CEO nga nila, diba, is no more boring cars. And so, that somehow translates here dito sa Toyota Camry. And that actually first begins with the car's steering feel. Okay, in terms of the actual feel, yung how much of the road you feel, I still prefer sa Mazda 6 ko, no? But in terms of response, the steering's actually sharp. I actually find the steering to be pretty sharp in terms of steering response. It's really good. Gone are the days that the Toyota Camry isn't an exciting car to drive. It's actually quite sporty. I like the steering response, no? I'm going through these corners ngayon, no? And wow, I'm actually impressed with how this car goes through corners. Dude, I like the response. I'm not kidding. Wow, I couldn't actually believe I'm saying this, but I'm actually having fun tossing the Toyota Camry around. I can't believe I'm saying that. I love the body control. It stays flat to the corners. Grabe, I can't believe I'm saying these things in a Camry, I swear. I can't believe I'm saying this in a Camry again. And with that hybrid powertrain, no, since medyo pababa to, medyo downhill to, the electric motors are being charged as I go through these corners kasi syempre brake ako, and when I lift off the throttle, the momentum of the car charges the battery. Then I'm impressed. I love the responsiveness of the powertrain. Again, it's a CVT, so there's a bit of that rubber band feel, no? But wow, yeah, the hybrid powertrain is responsive to your throttle inputs. I can't believe I'm really saying this, but I'm really having fun driving the Camry here sa mga twisties. I'm not even kidding on that part. And the brakes, we also have to mention the car's brakes. Of course, being a hybrid or an electrified vehicle, basta a car with a degree of electrification, syempre yung brakes niya, you expect na there's a bit of weirdness sa initial bite niya. There's still that with this Camry hybrid, no? Kasi syempre, with a hybrid, yung first few percentage ng iyong kagat is just the regenerative brakes and not the actual friction brakes, no? And apart from that, that's about it actually. It's something that you're gonna get used to as you drive an electrified vehicle, a hybrid. The suspension's really good. Apart from offering class benchmark ride with this Camry, it also manages to keep the body flat, no? I like how this car deals with body roll. It keeps the car flat through corners. It's amazing actually. Before, the Camry would really used to roll, as you put it, aggressively sa mga corners, but not in this model. It's actually really good. Now that we're entering a highway, and this is gonna be supposedly where the Toyota Camry hybrid would definitely shine, no? And actually, in terms of refinement pa lang, as we enter an expressway ngayon dito sa on-ramp, refinement's really good. I mean, For the class, maganda yung suppression ng kanyang road and wind noise, no? So, okay, so compared to a BMW, let's say a 3 Series, no? Talagang syempre mas lamang yung yung sound insulation. So in terms of road and wind noise, mas tahimik yung kotseng yun. But as far as other executive mid-size cars go, the Toyota Camry is really refined. It's really quiet, and in terms of ride, talagang it really rides well. The suspension deals with bumps pretty well. It's a class benchmark din in terms of ride, and doon talaga nakilala ang Toyota Camry. It's because of its excellent ride, maganda yung kanyang ride control, and ngayon because itong TNGA platform niya, as I said sa aking dating review ng Toyota Camry, na may onting sportiness dialed into the chassis siya, no? Yung kanang the way it deals with bumps, it doesn't float, wala ka nung ganong floatiness, so it's stable. Maganda yung stableness nung kanyang stability basically nung kanyang ride. And here at triple digit speeds, ang sobrang swabe nung solidity and rigidity ng chassis, it feels like a near luxury car basically in terms of stability and refinement. It's really good. And you also have to talk about yung kanyang hybrid powertrain sa ganitong mga sitwasyon, no? So kasi syempre if it's on a highway, mas less yung utilization ng electric motors. But with these newer hybrids ng Toyota, they deal better with highway drives. So mas gumagamit na ngayon ng electric motors and powertrain niya, and as a result, yung fuel economy niya is just amazing for this kind of vehicle. I've been doing 18.5 kilometers per liter over a week's worth of use, and that's insane, no? Talagang in terms of hybrid technology, the masters talaga are Toyota. And okay, so if you put your foot down, this uses a CVT. So talaga it will really drone the engine, no? It holds the revs. It doesn't try to mimic an automatic, no? But the one thing that I like about this powertrain, no, is sure, it holds the revs like your typical CVT pa rin, but ang tulin niya actually, this hybrid powertrain is fast. I mean, so yes, that CVT has that rubber band feel pa rin, no? But it responds, ayun, no? Like, apak mo lang, it responds agad to your input. It's really good in terms of that aspect. And overtaking with this car is sobrang sarap actually. Even on provincial roads, ang sarap overtake with this car because yung mga deficiencies of the gasoline engine, for example, syempre, di ba, ang mga gasoline engine has their peak torque at a certain RPM lang, di ba? So the electric motors fill in that gap sa powertrain niya as you overtake other cars. And kapag yun na, pag let's say gusto mong overtake, gusto mong umarangkada, the electric motors fill in that deficiency, kung sabihin natin, of a gasoline or a combustion engine. It's really responsive, really snappy as a result. So there's also an improved performance aspect with this hybrid powertrain compared to the previous 2.5 liter gasoline engine. And we also have to talk about the Toyota Safety Sense features. It's really good, by the way. I love the adaptive cruise control niya, yung kanyang dynamic radar cruise control. It acts like a human when you overtake, when you change yung user turn signals, it will already anticipate your overtake, so it's gonna speed up, no? It basically drives like a human. And then the lane centering is really good. Not as good as the Subaru EyeSight 4.0 like in the Subaru Outback and the new facelifted Forester, but below the EyeSight 4.0 as the benchmark, no? I think Toyota Safety Sense is one of the best lane centering din sa industriya. So we're gonna put that feature now and turn that feature on. See? It's really good. That lane centering is insane. It's really locks onto the car in front really well. It's really tackling that curve. Really great. One of the best lane centering features sa industriya. It's really good. Again, like what I said in my other reviews sa mga kotse may ganitong features, this is not a self-driving car. You still have to be attentive on what's happening on the road. These are just assistance features, no, along with the dynamic radar cruise control. So yes, it can drive sort of like, it can handle the throttle and the brakes sa traffic even in stop and go, pero again, yun nga, you still have to pay attention on the road. It's gonna be ultimately your responsibility pa rin.
this is now a good time to talk about its exterior design. For this model year, bulk of the changes were made to its front end. The front grille has been made wider and more assertive to look at, and, well, that's actually pretty much it for this facelift if we're being honest. Oh, and meron ka rin palang bagong 18-inch wheels, while the rest of the design pretty much carries over unchanged. It's not exactly a bad thing in my book, since this generation of the Toyota Camry always looked regal to my eyes. But of course, what's a Toyota Camry experience without talking about its sumptuous interior?
It's more or less similar pa rin to the pre-facelift model, but now, Toyota's finally stepped up their game in terms of equipment. So dati, you only had a 7-inch aftermarket touchscreen from a third-party supplier sa Pilipinas called AVT yata kung nagkakamali or something. It's a trash infotainment system noon. Finally, they've upgraded that to Toyota's own OEM infotainment system. And before we get to that infotainment system, we have to talk about the car's aesthetics and interior. So as expected sa segment na to, there's plenty of soft touch materials. I also like the fake wood treatment. So, okay, it's not real wood nga, as always. It's not real wood, but the execution looks really nice for me in this segment. I also like the ambient lighting ng kotse ito. It's only in blue, wala kang choice. It's not like yung sa mga German luxury brands that you can choose the color and stuff. No? So, yeah, there's that. And the seats, I always commend the seats of Toyotas in the TNGA platform. For some reason, ang ganda ng sculpting ng seats niya. I like the seats, and I also like the electronic adjustment ng kanang steering wheel. It's kind of like sa Lexus, basically. You turn on or turn off the car, the steering wheel retracts, so it's easy for you to get out of the car. I like that touch, by the way. It really feels premium. It's the only car in this segment to have that feature. I love those touches, which makes this Camry feel more special, and I like the interior. The Mazda 6 is still my class benchmark in terms of interior quality, since that has Napa leather, that has real wood, by the way, then that has real wood trims, and the execution of the Mazda 6 is just far more premium. But yeah, the Camry still doesn't disappoint. I still like the premiumness ng interior niya. I like the switch gear. And now that brings me to the infotainment system. Finally, it's not anymore the touchscreen ng Toyota dati. It's not anymore an aftermarket touchscreen. It's Toyota's own global factory infotainment system, which means you now have hard buttons dito sa sides, and well, it's not as, let's say, as nice nung sa Honda Accord or nung sa Mazda 6, but it's still much better compared to what Toyota used to offer sa Pilipinas. And that means, since this is a factory infotainment system, it's integrated into the car's systems. Kasi dati, since that was an aftermarket unit, na-disable na basically yung adjustment mo for the lights, the door locks, mga ganon. But yeah, integration of this infotainment system is far better talaga, since it's a factory infotainment system. And the response is okay. The resolution is not that great, but it's still okay. Again, the usability is much better compared to the previous infotainment, and there's now Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. Sana nga lang it was wireless, yung kanyang Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, kasi meron siyang wireless charging pad dito, no? So, if you're gonna charge your phone wirelessly, wala kang Apple CarPlay or Android Auto nga lang. That's the downside of it. So, yeah. Nice updates to the interior. Finally, it's fully loaded with features. Wala nang tinipid ang Toyota dito. It's really what you get also sa mga overseas markets. Good job on the interior. But of course, this is a Toyota Camry, and if there's one aspect where the Toyota Camry excels, that would be at the back seats, which means it's now time to lounge at those really cool, luxurious rear seats. So now that we're here in the back seats of the Toyota Camry, this front seat is in my position if I were the driver. Sabi natin, this is a right-hand drive car. So it's basically in the same position as a driver's seat, ano? So this replicates yung how I would sit in the front. And look at that legroom. Makaka-D4 ako dito. It's so spacious at the back of the Toyota Camry. And kung ayaw mo yung view sa labas, and kung ayaw mo ng araw, then you have sunshades to protect your sensitive skin, kung if you're one of those people. And then, of course, this is a Toyota Camry, so you expect Camry stuff, no? So here in the Asian market, the Camry is treated as a executive luxury car, no? And that reflects here at the back seat. So you have a center console where you can adjust those rear seats and just lounge at the back. Then you can also control the infotainment from here, but mostly just changing the music sa totoo lang. That doesn't work with Apple CarPlay, by the way, or Android Auto, so that's only gonna be compatible if you're gonna change the radio, ganon. And yeah, and you can also control the powered rear sunshade through the center console here. And you also have your own third zone climate control here at the back, which is of course gonna be a nice luxurious touch at this kind of class of vehicles. It's still a luxurious place to be in sa likod. The materials are nice, soft touch pa rin dito. Usually, manufacturers would cheap out in terms of the materials sa rear passengers, like that Honda Accord. Sa rear seats kasi ng Accord, hard plastics na indoors mo, but here, it's still as luxurious as the front seats, no? And yeah, you can also, of course, move the seats dito sa front passenger kung nakaupo dito. Dude, you have an insane amount of legroom here. It's really insane. It's really basically a poor man's Lexus ES, itong Toyota Camry, especially here in the Asian market. And it's amazing. Love sitting back here. Though, I also wouldn't mind driving the Camry because the Toyota Camry is actually surprisingly fun to drive. But that also now leads me to some of the other amenities of these rear seats. So apart from the center console, you also have two fast charging USB ports dito sa back seats. And that's about it for the rear seats of the Toyota Camry.
And then moving towards the trunk, you are offered with 524 liters of space, which is actually pretty big, though not as big as a Honda Accords. And while the Honda Accord has fold flat rear seats, the Camry's powered executive rear seats don't allow this level of practicality. And that's the thing with the new Toyota Camry. It's now only sold as a hybrid model here in the Philippines, which means that there's only one variant that's now available. Priced at a little over 2.3 million pesos, it's actually now one of the most expensive in its segment. But with its new hybrid powertrain and standard Toyota Safety Sense suite of advanced driver assistance systems, which of course includes full speed adaptive cruise control, lane departure warning, lane centering, front and rear automatic emergency braking, automatic high beams, blind spot warning, and rear cross traffic alert, this price jump actually still represents good value for money, especially when you consider the fact that the Toyota Camry now drives better than ever before. As a matter of fact, with more than 1 million pesos separating this and the Lexus ES Hybrid, you can now actually consider the Toyota Camry to be a budget Lexus ES. And with that perspective, 2.3 million pesos doesn't seem to be bad after all.